start with precision, we never get to the next step. Sorry, I don't want to say don't take up too much space, but
it's quite interesting, and you know, those things are happening right now, and like, you know, that's like, I need to learn more about this, so we definitely have to discuss more about this. I just started the sorry.
Sorry, I don't want to say don't take up too much space, but
oh yeah, that's the recording talking. Okay, good. So we're live on YouTube. Should we wait for someone else, or this is all of us now? What do you think, guys? Do you think someone else is joining?
I guess Theo will be joining.
He said only via phone because he's yeah, in the middle of something. So I'm not sure if we should wait. Oh, joining in too. Okay, should be soon quickly. Yeah. So we have something to discuss here. That's the white paper in general, right? Then there's the Harmony grant proposal and the voting. Those are the two things in the like agenda we want, and I think we should add a little more about hypergranule and whatever you guys are actually excited about, because I want to hear more. So those are the three things now. And do we want to add something else to the agenda, or is this everything?
I think it's fine. It's already packed of stuff.
Okay, then. So let me maybe share that little presentation. Sorry. Share screen. Oh, yeah, here we go. Okay. So yeah, sorry, there are not many visuals here, but I guess we'll make it. So let's start with the Harmony elections, and I think we can discuss freely all the hypergranule stuff afterwards, because these two things we kind of need to get out of our chest. So we're currently, as ArchiDAO, we have a Polygon multisig and a Harmony thing going on, and the grant is actually forcing us to do elections. And in order to be able to actually become a funded Harmony DAO, we kind of need to hold the first elections in order to fulfill the grant, all the proposals, you know, sorry. So to fulfill the terms, right? So right now we have a couple of people which will be standing in for the multisig on Harmony. But if anyone from the community wants to join, I think it's high time to actually say so. Because it's coming pretty soon. Did I? Yeah. Okay, good. Oh, hi Theo. I want to see you guys. It's better. So this is like a call for actually getting in touch, and this means you'll need to provide your real name, your ETH address. You know, in order to be able to vote. So that's the stuff we need. There's a little form for that, and I think be able to see it right now. So this is the form we need to fill. There's a deadline, right, till the end of the month, and on Monday, the 23rd, we'll announce the people who are like standing in, or what's the word? Yeah, who are candidates for the elections. So that's one big thing which needs your attention right now. So if you're interested, this is something to do. And yeah, so that's one thing, right? Questions, let's discuss this. I hope you all know what I'm talking about, the Harmony grant proposal. If not, I'll share the link to the proposal we got there, but I hope everybody knows. But I'll stop here. Do you know what's going on with Harmony, everyone?
I will send the link so
Yeah,
everybody
yeah,
can read it,
sorry,
and everybody
I'm
can
trying to find
read.
it on my phone.
No, it's fine, Shimon. I'll post the links.
Good. So it's in the chat. Okay. Okay. So that's one thing. It might give us kind of nice money for running the whole thing and actually starting doing things in a more organized way. So that's a big thing to actually start doing. And the second thing is the paper. So if you guys are not like, if you guys don't have many questions about this, let's just start voting there. And if you want to be a candidate, you still can. So this is, yeah.
Simon, before we move on to the paper, can we recommend to everybody on the call to register as a ArchiDAO member, irrespective of whether they want to vote or stand in for elections, right? Because this will help us in the future with all of the NFT drops we might be doing. So if you're registered now, it really helps us with all of the projects going forward. Thanks.
Okay. Thanks for saying that. Wait, I cannot. Oh, sorry. How do I go back? Sorry. So I want to copy this so that you don't have to pull out your phones and put it into the chat. So now you have a link to the whole Harmony thing here. And here's a link to a form which can actually make you a member. And that's right. Okay. So should we continue with the paper now? There are no other stuff to discuss about that. Let's do it then. Okay, so this is the version which was submitted to the Academy conference, which is going to take place on September in where is it actually? Yeah,
Belgium.
Yeah. Okay, Belgium. It was a collaboration of like Liz, me, Jirka, and Theo, but actually we really want to keep this open, so everybody's invited to actually work on this. Right now, it's ready for some comments about the structure of the paper. Of course, there's some like background and explaining to the architects and the people from the conference and actually scientific community what's the background for this. Then we explain what methods we use to actually just come up with these principles. And then there's like a systematic review of different things we considered important for like architectural DAO. And from these things, we somehow distill some stigmatic principles, which we think could be, kind of, I'm gonna borrow this term now, could be actually some hyper-granular little principles for governance and organizing ourselves as a DAO. So that's the structure of it, and these are the things we wanted to analyze. One of them was the collective authorship. We just went through some papers and really looked what about the own projects which were dealing with collective authorship. What does it mean? How does it change the design process and stuff like that? Then we did like yeah, I don't know much about the viable system model, so I'll gladly keep that to Theo or you guys, because you probably are so much better in that in particular. Then we did some reviews of the platforms which we could use for DAOs. And then there's the Stigmergic principles discussed. So for the collective authorship, we came up with these kind of questions. It was actually just analysis of other projects. We just scanned through them and looked for what is different, what can be actually changed by using blockchain or decentralization and so on. And these kind of like 8 principles were distilled from that. So some of them are actually not related entirely to decentralization or blockchain technology at all, but we were actually kind of trying to measure how much of these things are happening and what's going on. And some of them are actually already connected to the Stigmergy, like you need feedback loop and the idea of a substrate somehow making changes in different locations where the projects are happening and so on. So some of these questions are already aimed towards the Stigmergy principles. And yeah, I'm actually not showing the score by this, but I can actually drag us over here. And the funny thing, like this scale was just from 0 to 3, so just four numbers on the scale. But in the P7 and P8, which are both like how decentralized the system is and the substrate idea, most of the papers are actually not even considering those things that much, because 0 means not at all, like 1 means just a little bit, 2 means kind of, and 3 means yes, it's actually all about that. So you can see that not many papers are actually considering these things, and otherwise the collaborative authorship is actually discussed and researched pretty deeply. So that was like our initial, just to scan the papers and to see what's going on. Theo, are you able to speak right now something more about the viable system model, or?
Yeah, I can try.
I'll pass that.
Sorry about the background noise. Am I still? Do I sound good enough, or is it better to just chat about it?
It's fine by me.
Okay, perfect. So the viable system model is inspired by the CyberSync project, which was attempted first in Allende, Chile, to kind of try and create a communication model between production units that would kind of self-organize without any kind of top-down control. And this was created by a British cybernetician called Stanford Beer, and he kind of set up this kind of communication model for organizations on how to work in a decentralized fashion while still having a cohesive kind of approach to what they were doing. So the VSM model works with, let's say, 3 kind of principles of organization, which is policy, right? So specific rules, cohesion, right? So how do we work together in terms of a common result, and intelligence in the sense of how do we think together. And they always try to make the specific model as a kind of organization that tries to produce effective structural mechanisms. What they mean by this is that this is a production work and not just a communication tool, for example, like to call your friends or so on and so forth. Can you go to the next slide, please? And this is built around 3 pillars, right? So one is cybernetics, so communication through and via feedback loops. Initially, you can think of this on the first level, but we're mainly talking about second level cybernetics, so feedback loops and feedback loops, which would very nicely model some of the interactions we see on blockchain. Low requisitive variety, right? So we don't try to make everything monolithic and the same, right? So variety and diversity are good and they're encouraged. And recursion, right? So we try to improve from, by repeating things in a recursive manner, we try to improve continuously. And the idea is that then this, if done correctly, could lead into autonomous units, that still operate in a cohesive manner. We'll see how this kind of gets modeled in this big mergic principles we have later on, after we talk about the two DAO platforms. So if you can go to the next slide. So we took a look at DAO Stack, Colony, and Aragon. These are all DAO frameworks. The main result here is that DAO Stack uses a kind of consensus that they call holographic consensus. And this is created by having a token that is used for predictions, kind of like betting for or against a proposal passing. And if you have a large enough of proposals, right? So I've participated in a DAO created through DAO Stack with, say, 500 members. This kind of prediction process allows you to allows the system to focus its attention. So the most important proposals will always come up on top, and those that are less important and don't need as much attention, right? They will be less, they will be down the list. And through that, DAO Stack essentially creates a way where you have an economy of attention, right? So you can trade the token that they use for betting and prediction. And Colony essentially uses a similar system where you're getting compensated according to the value you bring to an organization. And this is directly influenced by the reputation you have in the organization. So from my point of view, Colony really encourages that you keep on contributing continuously and discourages plutocracy from the point of view of, if you have like the initial tokens of a DAO, it doesn't mean that you still get to benefit if you're not active into it. By the way, the word colony comes from a colony of ants. So it directly is inspired by Sigmergic principles.
That's cool.
If we go to the next slide. Yeah.
Could I ask a question just on the holographic
yes, please.
Element? Is that really using the principle, if you like, of the intelligence of crowds? That you are getting a consensus which is got some basis to predict its importance.
Yes, so it uses the intelligence of the most engaged members of the DAO. It doesn't necessarily mean that it's a crowd, but it will use the intelligence of the people who are mostly working on let's say, sifting through the proposals on a day-by-day basis. But also it uses the principle that if you feel strong enough for or against a proposal, you're willing to stake your money against it or for it. And from that point of view, it's a kind of a little bit of an adversarial system sometimes.
Which is reflecting the rest of the world.
It might
kind of, but we can debate that. We can debate that whether the world should be or must be adversarial.
No, I mean it just is not, and I think there's positives in that. I'm not saying this in a negative way. I'm just trying to.
Sure. Sure. I think there are different levels of governance that we're debating here, and you'll see this later in the presentation. So, for example, you might encourage adversarial consensus if you're talking about where to take an organization, but that might not be desirable if you're talking about consensus on where to take a project, where you might need, harmony, even if it's a vicious one.
Maybe the idea was just to self-focus on the most important ones. I think that was the idea behind it.
Yeah. I think the idea is that if you have like 500 proposals, you don't have the time. You know, it's a classic problem with democracy as well. You don't have the time to look at all of them in an informed manner. So you use this system essentially to judge which one to use to pay attention to or not.
And basically, the most controversial ones are the ones which the community needs to discuss because they make the controversy, right? So it kind of, yeah, it reflects the world.
Or they might be the most important, right? Like, so they might not be controversial. They might be really important and crucial to the organization.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, please. So from the collective authorship, the DAO software and setup analysis and the viable system model, we came up with submergent principles that we think should exist within ArchiDAO in terms of how the tokens are created. If you can go on to the next slide, please.
Yeah.
I won't go too much into depth into this.
Okay.
So I think, you know, you're familiar with the rest of it in terms of this is essentially the NFT skills, translated again as ArchiDAO NFT. So every member of the organization gets an NFT that represents their identity, their experience, their skills. I guess you can also talk about this.
Yeah, because I think we're explaining it here in like a totally drafty way, but let's imagine we have a someone's skill NFT, and we really want to somehow like track what kind of skills that person has, which can be used in ArchiDAO. We have a big pile of ideas actually by also tracking the skills you want to learn, because in the process of actually doing projects and working for ArchiDAO, you learn a lot. We think so. So just and then we also have some ideas about like maybe using this NFT skill for governance, like multiplier, or like if you're skilled, if you have a couple of projects behind you, you probably are better one to decide on the new project and so on. But this is in a really drafty kind of way right now. We also considered tracking our contributions throughout some kind of existing systems or something like that. But that's just a half of the system. You also need the project to be somehow like NFT, which then can actually have slots for people to actually stake their skills into. So this way we would be able to track all the projects, have some kind of overall view of how many projects are running. If we need some people to learn new skills because there's not enough, like, I don't know, Solidity developers or something like that. And once the project is ready and all the skills from our skills NFTs are somehow staked in it, we can actually start the project running because we have a team of people in there, and this could actually automatize a lot of stuff which is usually pretty cumbersome while doing projects. So that's something which the ArchiDAO skill NFT should be helping us with, because doing projects on scale could be actually pretty cumbersome in this way. But that's just a part of the thinking. Actually, this is like a story of one user. So you learn about ArchiDAO, then you like probably visit the social media, you join the Discord, and some of these parts is something we have to design. Some of these parts already exist, and some of it's opened. That's the light green here. Some of it is actually like only for the verified people using Discord, but this can actually be then later on linked to the skill NFTs as well. because that's probably going to be the membership of ArchiDAO, like the thing which makes you a member. And I don't think I should go through all of this in detail, but maybe we should. Like, can you see all of it?
Maybe zoom it a bit, Shimon, closer. So, yeah.
How do I go back? Sorry, like this. No, I cannot zoom.
Okay.
No. Yeah. So we're just thinking about this like user flow, what's happening to a new member, and what are the things. We need some data from everyone who joins. So right now it's just the ETH address and probably your time zone, because we learned that this is important, right? Yeah, and okay, sorry, Jirka, if you can join in here and help me with this, I will be happy. But probably
what are you trying to do? Is there a list?
Yeah, I think this is yeah, this is the brainstorm. Like yeah, I don't think we can go in deep here. I should open the what's the name of it?
Okay, I'll try to open the mirror.
Yeah,
in the meantime.
It's doing better because I cannot zoom over here, and it doesn't make sense to show you these little things, right? So, are you there?
I'm getting there.
Okay.
Which should I open? Which one? Shimon?
It's in the brainstorms.
Okay.
I'll get there as well.
I'm here, so I can.
Yeah. Okay. You can share.
Shall I? Allow me, please, to share.
Should be on.
Cool. Okay, so where shall we go here?
Yeah, it's the this one.
This one.
On the top. So basically, in here,
yeah.
we were thinking about like two roles. Like you want to learn and you want to practice something, and we're like part of us are teachers, so this is somehow like natural to us. But assuming that the process would actually involve some learning is kind of, I think, interesting. So we're thinking about like having different, maybe go down, different roles for like what your contribution is going to be, and those roles can be actually something where you actually help with the project, or just do something for the DAO itself, and all of this should be somehow included into your NFT skills, so that you grow as you actually do something for the DAO. Then this is all still kind of very drafty, but we're thinking, of course, of like some coins, some governance tokens as well, and all of this should reward the participation in whatever ArchiDAO does. So ArchiDAO has projects. ArchiDAO has its internal projects, like writing papers, like developing the NFT skills and so on. So basically, we think of learning, practicing, or doing real work when you have the skills for the projects which are matched to your skills. Then we have some ideas about really doing internal projects for developing the ArchiDAO further and so on. So basically, I think that's what was that slide about. but maybe these are just we're spitballing ideas here, and since this is Ask Us Anything, I think now would be a perfect time to have those questions if you want to ask them, because we're just thinking that we can actually automatize some of these processes, and we will be very interested in what you think about those.
Are these Miro boards available to, because it's quite small on my screen at the moment?
Oh yeah,
They're shared, are they? They're openly shared to contribute to?
I think we can provide the presentation, Shimona, you are having, or the one that Theo prepared.
These boards, like when you become a member of ArchiDAO, you'll have access to it. So I think that forum link in the beginning is actually the best way to participate in it.
Okay. Yeah, because on screen it's great, but I mean, to get into depth, it's really
definitely
to contribute.
Yes. So basically, what we
So Simon, you're saying it's in the welcome channel, right?
Yeah,
okay.
Let me check
hello, Ricardo. Nice to see you here.
Yeah, sorry, I'm like working on something else at the same time, so that's why I have my camera off.
Okay.
But I'm listening in, guys.
Okay, good.
Great.
Yeah, I think it's definitely there should be a link to it on the Discord. But you need to have the Google account. I think we can definitely share it with you for having like in-depth comments. But basically, the main idea of actually making NFT skills as each member has an NFT skills which depicts what the skills they have, what skills they want to learn, and how much experience they have in certain things, and then matching those with project NFTs, which a project leader can mint a project NFT, and then specify how many skills is needed for that project, and then when the matching happens, we could actually somehow help automatizing the process of picking people for projects. There could be actually whitelisting even for like when you know that you have already some people who are really pumped to work on that project, or they are local in the term, like they can help with doing research on the site and so on. So there could be actually some influence on this, but again, fine-tuning such a system would be a lot of work, and we really need to start with something simple. So we just generated a simple list of different skills which would be useful in a project, and I think I'm actually very pumped for the first project, which is gonna use the NFT skills for that in really a small scale, but we need to actually start testing these ideas.
By having these NFTs, we can create some information board on our website as well, which might be very helpful to attract clients who are like looking for some job, and they can see on our website that there are that many architects, that many let's say Solidity developers, and thanks to being public, we can share all these data to everybody. So we hope that this will work out quite nicely.
So what do you think about these endeavors? Is it crazy, or like I think this is the moment where we can discuss it in general, like as aims, and when we dive into the nitty-gritty of the ideas, it's always a different type of discussion. So maybe the broad discussion about if you think that this makes sense, or what would you like to see as a feature in this whole system, I think this is the place for such a discussion, right?
I think for me, broadly, it looks really great, and I'd love to have some time to, go with at a slower pace, kind of go through with a fine-tooth comb and really kind of get to grips with everything that's being presented, because I know that I've got some similar frameworks that I've been actually building, and I'd love to see where the real crossover lies, and also where you've thought of extra things and perhaps we've thought of extra things. And what I'm interested to know is, I know that you guys have study groups within the DAO, but where are the, or how do we like know? And obviously I'm going to kind of sign up for the DAO once this call's over, and so perhaps that's one of those times where you'll get fed a little bit more information around smaller working groups, because I think that there's a number of different topics that are being discussed here, and whether it's LearnFi, whether it's kind of community governance, whether it's marketing, whether it's kind of BIM on the blockchain, whether it's kind of golden thread, figuring out how blockchain can facilitate different chunks of like a wider construction project. They're all things that we are grappling with, and I think I love some of this kind of idea of through your NFTs, you hold your kind of specialisms that people are able to, and your specialisms kind of hold some sort of weight in a project. But before we get to that point, like now, I'd love to know how and where the best places of engagement for me as an individual, or Dara as an individual, or us as a team, or and find out the right people that we should be speaking to, so that when we come on the community calls, we're able to better express and not take up time on these kind of broad presentation points, like you know, the nuances and subtleties around certain, you know, much more delicate pieces of exploration. Like
yeah, no, I'd agree. I believe we have content that will perhaps drive people towards what you're hoping for. But through, I suppose, multiple early attempts, it's been difficult to get purchase within the community to say, hey, we think we bring value. And that's been a difficult thing to get through. And it may be because the most obvious thing, that perhaps what we do doesn't seem to reflect too much value initially, but at least to have the possibility to go through this, and because we have a vast archive of case studies, of records, of ways that people could learn, gamify. We've been looking at this space acutely for a long time.
But not putting it into practice as a DAO, and it's one of those things to actually join the DAO and understand some of those points in terms of where to best engage around those kind of, because I know I'm personally guilty of only joining on the wider discussion points, and so then I'm not able. But I think I heard at the beginning of this, which is to sign up and be part of that. Then there's perhaps more opportunity, you know, to make some of those smaller but more weighty interactions.
Yeah, I think initially, and just my perspective here, it was like if you start doing something, people start reacting on it, and maybe I like right now I would be super excited if you guys could actually show us some of these frameworks you're talking about, because like you know, these study groups are usually something which needs a leader who plans ahead a little bit, and you know, it's like a workshop thing where somebody is explaining stuff to other. And I think like on our Discord, these things are happening quite often, but to be honest, I was not able to keep up with all of it because there's been a lot of these things happening. So maybe you already kind of missed some of those things, but I think that's definitely still growing. So like last 2 weeks back, we had a using Grasshopper for 3D printing with robots kind of workshop, and that's very specific, right? That's actually not related to blockchain at all. But
cool.
We had this project in mind with Jirka initially, where we wanted to do NFTs of the robot printing the building, and actually dragging all the data into that NFT as like utilities of that. So by buying that NFT, you learn how to use robots and Grasshopper to actually build stuff out of concrete or clay or something like that. that was one of the projects. I think it's a little bit on hold now, but we had this like little workshop for it. So I think if you have a lot of ideas about like granularity and building systems, like you should definitely be part of the NFT skills team, which is like right now not formed in a proper way. I think it's like we're still talking about it, but we know that we should start building this. So I think this is an invitation now.
I mean, I'd be happy to show you a model and so on, but better than that, just before that, is to explain a little bit about. So we believe we have these deep skills in what we do. We believe that we're pretty much an outlier. We have been for years. We believe that, for the first 5 years, we thought we were doing it wrong. We can tell you for the next 5 years, everybody told us we were crazy. And for the next 5 years, we were kind of shunned. And in the last 5 years, we're super popular. Yeah, so, that's been our journey. We started with doing incredibly high-end projects for private clients who wanted that type of technology. And we've gone full circle in that we only like to display our technology to community projects at the moment. So we build community art centers, we build stuff with low budgets, but high quality buildings that they couldn't normally get. So we're trying to prove a point. We're trying to prove a point that when you put technology into action, you can take a poor budget and turn out an outstanding building. And we have these things live all the time. We think this is exciting. And we understand feedback loops, we understand validation points, we understand the basis of where you want to stick blockchain in the real world. Real world. So we are real world. So we're normally, because we're lots of architects' dirty secret, right? So yeah. So we believe we have this. We are stuck between the paradigm of, do we build a Web 2 company and go that route? Yeah, because people are looking for that, and that's the route go. We see, and especially Liam is so strong in building community. We believe the new wave is community, and we certainly are dissatisfied with the Web 2 approach. We're certainly looking at it with dissatisfaction. Because it seems to be a race to the bottom. Lowest common denominator wins, right? Not best idea, not best solution.
Yeah.
So those are our areas of interest. So I mean, if you want me to show you a model, I'll show you what it's about.
Yeah.
Why we take
I
a
think
single model framework. It's very unconventional. It goes against almost everything, but it works in practice.
Yeah, I think it would help me to actually get all the things into proper framework or perspective. So, like, if you can share something visual, I'll be happy.
Sure. Sorry, let's see if we can share screen here. Let's see screen. Okay, it may take a minute or two. I have a lot of models on this machine, so it may take a minute or two to load. But then I will happily show. It's actually loaded. We're good. Okay, so I'm going to go back for a moment. So we believe, so what you're seeing is our delivery mechanism site. Yeah. So we can give you a finishes view, we can give you a load bearing view, we can give you an MEP view, we can give you workflows, demolition. And when we say 3D to 3D, we try to avoid 2D. So even for groundworks, everything is simply 3D to 3D. You do not have to refer to 2D. You are getting everything you require for groundworks in 3D. Yeah, just for excavation. You have the proposed building, and then you have here. I'm just going through it quickly, and then I'll go in more detail. So we're going through construction stages, a little bit like IKEA. This is above ground construction. So we go into stage 0. This is before the CLT turns up. This is for a CLT building. It will then tell you what happens in the first lorry load, where all these elements will go in the building. Yeah. And, you know, each element here will have which lorry it came in, what's the which is a panel erection sequence, whether it's visual, non-visual, all the information required for that element. And each one of these things is interactive. Yeah. And we can go all the way through to whichever stage you're putting up. I'm just going to jump through here. So this is, at the moment, this is just instruction for the workforce. Yeah. I won't dwell on it too long, this one. We will go into load bearing now, and we'll go into a little bit more depth. So this is a CLT structure, and we're going to start first of all with the rebar. So the rebar is 1-to-1 with the piles, with everything else you need to know. So for the person installing it, they are no longer referring to 2D. They have everything you require in 3D at a granular level. When we move into the building itself, we are literally screw for screw. Yeah. And when we say screw for screw, we are not, this is not a pretend piece. So if I touch that screw, it will give me that screw. Yeah. It is individual screws, individual bolts. Yeah. So if I look at how this plate is put, I can actually go into it, and you have the sorry, let's get a little bit closer. Oops. It's a little bit sensitive. I will give you even the information on that. You know, exactly the part number, exactly what it needs to be, who made it, and so on. So this is when we refer. This is when, yeah, this is when we refer to meaningful blockchain, right? Part for part, verifiable, absolute. Yeah. So what we're looking for here is, and if we want to go into all the screws that are holding the building together, they are all there, every single one of them. So the building is perfectly commodified and quantified in a way that it needs to be to meet the conservative standards of this industry, quite rightly so. Yeah. From here, we can go into an MEP workflow or an MEP view. And in the MEP view, you can see every sort of pipe, every sort of conduit that is going through the ground and is connecting to whatever. And you can ask whatever, you know, you can again identify what it's for. It's a flexi duct, it's whatever that element is for. And we have a key for all the different parts. So the parts are detailed as they would be used 1-to-1. Yeah. And if we want to, we can also tell you who made the part. Yeah. In terms of who is a manufacturer and so on. Yeah, so that's the MEP. I'll just show you the finishes view very quickly, because so if we go into the finishes view here, you can enter into the building and you can understand what the finished building will look like. You know, and again, even with every piece is, it is properly there. You know who's made it. It's everything. Nothing is left to chance. So it's totally precise. Down to the, as I say, down to the nuts and bolts. Everything is there.
That's amazing. I admire the detail you are putting into this.
But this should be every day. This should be normal, right?
Yeah,
not difficult.
Yeah.
And we do it with less people and faster.
And how do you assure that the workers will follow exactly the BIM model you are having?
Well, you know, it's because it's so precise. When you are doing IKEA furniture, yeah, it's hard to get it wrong.
And also one of those things is if you're able to give that coordinated information at such detail to site, and there's like a task list that's gamified within like a wider viable system model of kind of because I like the cybernetics point that Theo is presenting in the white paper, and we call it construction cybernetics, right? And from the moment of design, if you're able to design those parts and create these libraries, and you've got a library of every part, and there's some of these things that you showed on the Miro board with like a LearnFi experience where we're able to do hyper granular modeling lessons and create these library parts. But then when those library parts are created, then they hold the metadata, whether it's the manufacturer, the composite material, whatever that might be. And then at the point of design, that's kind of cool. That goes to a library. Then when it gets ordered, it goes to procurement, and you know who put it up for purchase, you know who purchased it, you know who delivered it to site, you know who fitted it. And some of the bits and pieces that Dara hasn't shown you yet is there's actually stuff that he's working on in terms of a two-way feedback experience from sites, which will allow for, when we're talking about a point scan earlier, you can literally just take a photo and in the model will match up to the LiDAR scan, and you'll get kind of like validated through the construction workers feeding back to the studio in real time to basically say, yeah, the model, the real bricks and mortar fits, harmoniously across the model.
So instead of sensors, you would just use pictures, and that's actually clever, because the problem with using sensors on a building site is usually connections and so on.
Sensors where sensors in the right place are amazing, Yeah. But if you use it all is valid, but it all must be interoperable and work together. And look, even these tiles are programmed. Each individual tile is programmed. So this tile is a different color than the top tile. So if I go to this tile and ask for the information on this tile, it will tell me, for example, it's a tile shade B, straight tile, single mitered edge along 200 millimeter side, tile shade B. If I go to the top one here, it will tell me that you have 2 mitered edges, top right and tile shade A, for example. Yeah, and all of this is a basis of validation touch points at the bottom. Project lead time, cost is tendered, cost is supplied, payment made, cost quoted for snagging, cost of snagging. You start to build up validation touch points on everything. And this is where you have a decentralized organization. You can, if you look at it in project terms, really you have lots of people who are contributing, not just the architects, the engineers, and the construct. Lots of people who are contributing. And this is where you have a fundamental breakdown in a standard like ISO 19650. Where really they're trying to, through this standard, make a database. But a database of only 1/3 of the people involved in a project is not going to work, especially when you cannot automate it, or you're not automating that compliance, and it's not subject to the whole team.
Dara, that's why it goes back to that kind of, the thing that really excites me about the viable system model is we have a hypothesis that if you have the golden thread delivered correctly, and you essentially have golden thread as a service through LearnFi or however that exists, and you have compliance as a service, so that's kind of automated PAS numbering for architects, but also Simone, to your point around on-site with sensors, or another product that we're developing is actually a camera app that will allow you to just take a picture on site and automatically feed that smart file back into a common data environment. And so we believe to make the viable system work, you have to have golden thread and this kind of automated compliance, and the two sit kind of mutually exclusive together.
Can I have a silly question about the golden thread? If I understand it correctly, what does it actually mean? Sorry, this is the first time I'm hearing it in such context.
So imagine this. Okay, let me find a better one. Okay,
start with BIM and virtual design and construction.
Okay. So a golden thread is So this part will all sort of tie together in the sense that so it ties together blockchain and accountability and responsibility. For example, a large developer like Berkeley Homes were very nervous because they couldn't really verify, apart from sending a team of people in, that each fire collar had been put in properly and by whom and where. And if they had 500 apartments, how? Yeah. So if you look at, and these people had an architect who made a BIM model, an engineer who made a BIM model, and a service engineers who made a BIM model. But they could not put this digital information to work for them. You know, so each of in the way that governance is given is that each one of these people keeps their little BIM model locked up. They bring them together to coordinate them, so on. But if you build in precision, it becomes easier for the builder to build. He knows exactly what he's building and where. And then if you use point cloud and you can overlay within a real environment, XYZ, your coordinates, you know where your parts are. If you have a proper, you know, the CDEs everyone uses so basic, so stupid, so unreliable, so unconnected. But when you're connecting digital information together, it's super easy to validate which fire collar went where, who put it in. If you imagine this is the information that our workforce receives, they don't receive anything else. Everything is here. So to give you an example, a very simple example of the golden thread, one that's not, so if we have a wall, any wall, you could pick any wall here, I'll just pick one. All you have to do is the person who's logged into our system is automatically logged. We know who's looking at this. We know, therefore, who's fitting it. They're easy signatures to get. If that person, then we can tell, did they look at how this wall worked? Because the system records who's looking at what, when they're looking at what. So if you go from this point, you're seeing the 2D, which most people are used to, overlaying on 3D, the 3D model, right? The 3D model is precise because the 3D model was built from a point cloud. Yeah. Now the parts are real. In the model, the parts are correct because they can't be anything other than correct. So if I was, excuse me, I'm going to just turn off this layer for a second. If I were to, I'm just going to bring that forward. Excuse me for a second. If I were to touch on one of these elements in here, that means it's automatically ordered. It's the right element. It cannot be the wrong element. So only the right element can turn up. You are aware of who is putting in the element. And at each point, all you need to do is either use the LiDAR facility that's available on your iPad now. After you finish the work with your XYZ coordinates and go, I install this. So what you're, sorry if I'm going too quickly, what you're doing is that you're tying the digital, the virtual to the real. So it's designed virtually, it's offered virtually to the person who's going to make it real. So it's it really is bits to atoms, if you like, you know, and that chain of who selected it, who delivered it, and who built it is the golden thread that they look for, to answer your question. So we know who designed it because the information is there. We know who ordered it because the information is there. We know who built it because the information is there. And the final validation is the person who signs it off. So there's an automation of the first three processes and a validation by the last person who inspects it. If that makes sense.
When a truck comes to the construction site to actually load off something, there has to be a person to actually receive it anyway, and that person is going to have a phone, and even the stages of the structure are going to be there, right? So
Right. Everything is accountable. Everything. If you can design a screw, then it's easy to track that screw turned up. It's easy to track that screw got fitted.
And the other thing that's really interesting about all of this is that it kind of, one of our big North Stars is around decarbonizing the built environment, because we know that 40% of kind of the world's carbon output annually is through construction. But with when you're having such granularity at the design stage, and then procurement is so precise that you're not having waste. But it's not just waste of material, it's actually waste of time management, administration. You know, there's a lot of waste that's cut by having a very robust and precise and accurate golden thread.
Mm-hmm. Okay, thanks. How come I never heard about it yet?
Golden thread is.
I don't mean the golden thread, but like your work. It's.
Oh, I mean, because I told you for the first 5 years we thought we were doing it wrong, and we built it for ourselves. Our story a little bit is I've been working and building my own systems for years. Liam has a background in community building and working in tech companies and helping tech startups and so on.
Mm-hmm.
So Liam and building very large communities, his speciality is communities, and we rather accidentally stumbled across each other. And really accidentally, otherwise I would still be working in my office quietly. And Liam has encouraged me so strongly to join this community.
And I've wanted to build a community for the work that Dara's doing to kind of shine a light on it. But for a long time, we were like holding fire and not wanting to go off before we'd kind of tested a few more things and had some case studies. And like we say, one thing we've shown you the golden thread side, you know, and one of the things that we've been building over the last 18 months with profits generated from lean construction methods is actually another component to this whole equation, which is a piece of software that allows, it's a common data environment, but with a really new UI UX, and it has automated compliance, and it gives rise to a marketplace that kind of uses all of that library part information and so perhaps we could demo that on another call. We don't want to kind of go all in today, but it's that when I saw Theo present the DAO white paper on Sunday, and the viable system method was the thing that really kind of spoke to me, because I've been writing a similar thing, and it was like I know I've been watching again, like Maya Mystery from who's one of the core team at ArchiDAO, and I saw kind of over the last 12 months how since he's graduated, he's kind of built this community and corralling the kind of like-minded individual people, and some of the stuff, the output now has been really quite interesting. And I was like saying to Dara, we can't work silently anymore, like that we should go and speak, because there's people pulling in the same direction, or at least kind of attempting to kind of create frameworks around the same problems. And so that's kind of been our journey to this point, I suppose.
Okay, and you're both in the Discord, and now you have the link, right? So you're
I don't think either of us have registered to be members of the DAO, but I'm going to do it immediately once we're off this call. And I am registered for the whitelist for the NFT because it looks cool, and it's funny, we saw the request for demoing models in the Decentraland, and I spoke with Risha, and she said kind of sure, I asked for the file size and everything, and for us the models that we have just don't work on those blockchain environments at the moment, but it's something that we'd love to explore. Like one of our ambitions, and certainly mine, is when we were thinking about kind of DAOs or Web3 and blockchain, and there's LearnFi and delivering construction on the blockchain, that's one side. But in terms of if you're creating all these library parts and actually having these sandbox environments where architects can come and model their student work or model their professional work that doesn't get used, but also conducting briefs where you're able to kind of build really interesting stuff. And I'm interested in how long or how far away is it a tangible possibility for a real professional, not sandbox or Decentraland or crypto voxels, but something that would be able to hold the weight of those models, where we have a LearnFi experience where people are able to learn how to model, but then run briefs and build out on these kind of really interesting sandbox things, whatever, ArchiDAO, metaverse land. And because then there's something really interesting when you're able to then run, I don't know, pattern thinking and recommendation engines over all of those kind of hyper granular models. And when you're then thinking about generative design, you know, 5, 10, 15 years in the future. But that's the thing that we see, and we want to work towards that, rather than, I know Dara mentioned we've been thinking about kind of, do we just try and do this as a Web 2 offering? And it, like, we could, but platform as a service and deep tech AEC and all of this stuff, it as a platform stack with an architecture operating system, for us, there's something more exciting perhaps when you actually do integrate blockchain and DAO thinking and all of that kind of stuff.
Or gas, geometry as a service.
Geometry.
Yeah. No, I love the. Yeah, like you said so much. I think right now this is crucial stuff. I like it.
Because I have maybe a thought. Did you consider to use this BIM model, because it's so precise, not for like a manual workers, but for robots? Because
yeah, I mean, you know, that's the extension, right? But if you think about it in a way, yeah, we know that in the 1950s and 60s, there were more prefabricated buildings than are being built today. Yeah, we know at the moment that the vast majority of buildings are still being built 97% the old-fashioned way. That's the problem that we have to attack first. Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's the way we're going to have the biggest impact on decarbonizing the built environment immediately. The stuff for robots and so on is well taken care of. You know, people are doing that and doing that precisely, and it's a known art, and it's coming out of the factories and automobile production and so on. We don't have anything that we need to offer there yet. The robots that we're interested in are robots, for example. Okay, so the robots that we like and we're interested in is, so if you have a very precise environment, you cast your slab, then you want a robot with a spray gun on its back to go and do all the setting out. So it goes along and it sets out the site. So you don't need a person with big squares and triangles setting it out. You just, you give it a few markers so it knows where it is, it sets out the site for you. Yeah, so so we have a skilled work. We have the average age of workers 49 in construction now, right? There's only 3% of the workforce under 21. We're going to have a savage skill shortage. So that's what we want robots to do. Beyond that, what we want robots to do is to intelligently know where they are and what has been fitted in a site. So the valuation for the work done is done by a robot. I mean, it shouldn't be done by a person who's going, okay, I'll give you £10,000 this week, or I'll give you, you know, this is completely crazy. Yeah. You need it precise. And there's a gulf between what's happening in BIM, which is just like the beginning of when bankers stopped using ink fountains and writing notes longhand. This is BIM at the moment, and it's the way it's used is just one small step forward from that. So when you really use BIM properly, it is a lot less work. You know, it actually works. At the moment, the experience, I'm sure, of 99% of people with BIM is horrible.
Yeah, because the tables are not filled out, and you have to really sit and really think about things which are not relevant at the design stage usually.
Yeah, and in a book, you need all of the words for that book within that book. Not every third word in another book in another library. You know, this is the way that they use it.
And we know, you know, with Industry 4.0, right? And we believe that with this kind of golden thread and compliance as a service, it really gives rise to smart construction sites where humans, robots, sensors, drones can all work
together,
cohesive kind of symbiosis. And that's exciting. And in terms of like Dara's point, you know, you've all seen the Spot robot as a use case. If Spot should be going around doing the point scan stuff once the building's been up, and that can be then sending all of the compliant information back to a two-way feedback CDE. And so and one of the things, just to finish on from kind of my side, is the CD that we've been designing is with that kind of future in mind, with ambient information, and it's kind of got a very different navigation system to CDs that exist at the moment, and it's much more touch-based and fast to use, and so but it also has this kind of nod to Industry 4.0 design and kind of augmented reality and all of this kind of other.
It's got to be plug and play. Plug and play.
Yeah, because then people don't use it when it's hard to use. That's
no. You know, but I mean, Ford said it. You know, cars will become widespread when people don't have to look under the hood to see how they work. You know, Jobs said that's the thing. It's got to be plug and play. It's got to work out the box.
And is there like a design environment for all those super detailed models? Like how do I design with your standard in place? Like, can I use?
Well, I think that it's just all the basic steps coming together. I don't think it's complicated. I think that the way that, look, we have a lot of problems with BIM, right? One is that Revit got adopted. That's a huge problem. It's not really Revit's fault that it got adapted, but it did. So you have a software that runs off a single processor, man. You know, it's American muscle car, will go fast in a straight line and then it'll fall over. You know, you have certain limiting factors. This must be recognized. And when we don't recognize these things and we go, oh, well, that's just the way it's going to be, we forget that there's a whole world of Teslas and not gas guzzlers and other things that do the job really well. And you sometimes, you know, you get to crisis point before you're willing to look somewhere else. So we are sitting in an age of the emperor's new clothes, but you have people like Dion Malt who are really working well with IFC and open source and really getting to grips with the authoring systems. And what we're trying to do is simply say, look, if one tiny little company can do this and do this quite well, then it's a bit obvious that other people are going to be doing it soon. It's kind of inevitable, right? We see agriculture has in the last 20 years gone 3 or 4 times in production, right? And we are a static line.
Yeah, that's
embarrassing.
That's the worst. Yeah, we have to do something about it. So
yeah, and so what, I think that when we've been quite hidden, but when you know, we produce, and I'm not trying to say it in any arrogant way, but I think we produce the best BIM models in the world by a country mile. You know, by a long distance.
Oh yeah,
and that should be a point of embarrassment, not something to celebrate. You know, truly. But
it had to happen anyway, and we have to build on top of this because you know it's all from there. It's the communities, it's the design, it's the other stuff which needs to be done in order to actually survive on this planet. Actually, we have to build smarter.
I agree with you. I mean, if you look at it, if you create your community, if the ArchiDAO community does, what makes those models so very quick to produce is what it took a long time in the beginning because BIM parts, BIM objects are useless. They're not parametric. The libraries are very heavy. They make your models not work. So when you see all those electrical switches and so on, we haven't imported them from any BIM store. We modeled the whole MK library. We modeled the whole OSMA library. And we modeled them so that they work properly and quickly. The Rothenblast library, we modeled it.
Wow.
Yeah. So so last year we spent last 18 months, the profits that we made, the excess profits we made, we put 300,000 back into R&D. That's why we wrote 30,000 lines of code to create a CDE that we want to give away for as close to nothing as possible.
Wow.
And that's why we're so interested in what you guys are doing, because if we can get a community, each architectural office to make one library part and put it up there, it can be put up as an NFT.
Oh my God, yes, let's do this. I was thinking about like outsourcing some part of the research done on the metaverses. That was one of the ideas we could do for one of the papers we were writing here in ArchiDAO, but this is so much better. actually, using the skills we have to model things properly. Yeah.
Because what we can do is we can give you aspirational models. People will look at these models and they will want, all the architects that I work with think that this is architectural porn. They want they want it, and we're happy to share.
Oh my God. Okay. That's amazing. Where have you been? Wow. Okay. One thing I missed. Does it have a name or like?
We use the name of a physicist called Bohm. David Bohm was a physicist. He writes about the implicate and the explicate orders. We like
one of the nice things as well with the white paper was one of the headings around coherence. And if you look at David Bohm, a talk on YouTube, Wholeness and Coherence, you'll kind of understand a lot of the principles on why and how we chose it and why it kind of works so well with the dysfunctional, archaic and what do we call it? legacy industries of like AEC.
Oh my God. Okay.
We can say on a final note, we also do about half of the high-end art galleries in the West End. So whether it's Frieze, whether it's Sadie Coles, whether it's Thomas Dane, Almin Resch, we build their galleries. So we have a strong link into the art world, and so we're art-based in a lot of our work and community-based in a lot of our work.
Okay. I'm amazed. That's for sure. Thank you, guys.
So what about designing some cool gallery in Decentraland?
Yeah, no, I mean, listen, the galleries keep on asking us because the sort of galleries, the virtual galleries they have are awful. And they say your models that you do of art galleries are better. So we're asked about this all the time. And we're asked about doing creating spaces, virtual spaces for people to go to. But I got to tell you, what we do, it takes up quite a lot of our time anyway. So
I know. And also there's the thing that's way more exciting than just dropping a model in Decentraland for us. The actually, how do we figure out a way to build that ArchiDAO or Bohm sandbox that has the capacity for us to deliver one of our models, where you can then build some kind of learn-fi metaverse experience where you're able to do some sort of kind of virtual reality lesson where by doing the brief within that space, you're able to learn currency that could be then used and, for governance within the DAO or whatever. Like there's something bigger than just kind of dropping a model in one of those environments. It is something interesting to us, but that there's something more that we've. It's like I said, we wanted to be able to be part of the ArchiDAO gallery, but the files weren't. We don't have a file small enough to be accommodated, so we understand that perhaps there's a limitation at the moment with blockchain infrastructure for us to then. So how do we kind of push the dial on that so that we're then able to do it in a way which brings the right value exchange for everyone, like us and a learner and a wider community.
Guys, I think you should. Do you know Vasim Jabi, the creator of Topologic?
I think I've come across it. I don't know, not personally, but I think I know the name.
I know him from the conference and the same conference like where we met Steel. He's doing this approach to geometry where he's actually using non-manifold geometry in order to describe things in a easier way and keep the topology in between the spaces, because like in today's modeling we have some boundary representation of a room, or like you guys, you have elements, so you don't have rooms, right? But a lot of architects still think in terms of like, this is a room, I can model that room and it's abstract and so on. and this topologic, like it's a plugin to Blender and Dynamo and Grasshopper as well, and probably even other softwares. And I think he started playing with blockchain a lot, because if you make like this simplified topologic model of a building, it's actually just a node-based. It's a graph. So you can actually store that graph on chain actually. And I think he stumbled upon a lot of things which can actually optimize this. Like we have huge models, and maybe you can just store the topology, what should be placed where, what are the neighboring things, because that's simple data, and then you can load it from a library. So I think like
we have 5 levels of degradation. So what you saw is the highest level, but we can reduce everything just to a line.
Yeah. So you guys are doing this in a
So we have 5 levels to make it very tiny, very light. But what you see is what we email.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, there's nothing. I think what the model I showed you is less than 1 gig. And it's really easy and that's every drawing. The important thing is that we have to think differently. So you have the model, but every single drawing is you don't have 1 to 5s that you've drawn separately.
Yeah.
Everything is derived. Everything is derived from the model. Everything is automated from the model. Even our drawing sheet is not a drawing sheet. It is a programmable object. Yeah, so it's a different approach. It's a digital approach.
I think it's the right one, because otherwise, like, there's so much coordination mistakes in between the 2D and 3D. Always.
Yeah, you cannot put grass into a petrol tank. You know, it will not act the same way as a horse. You cannot combine these systems.
Yeah.
And I think that's what happens when you bring paper into a digital environment. It doesn't work.
Yeah, it's always redundant work. Like, you know, I've collaborated on a couple of projects where we had to at certain point just, you know, somebody was like, no, let's put it on a piece of paper and let's cross out the ones which we created. I was like, yeah, but it's gonna take, you know, let's fix the digital. And these discussions are always, you know, it's very.
It happened,
but there's a way.
Guys, I'm very sorry, but I'll have to leave. So it was great to talk to you, and yeah, enjoy the rest. Bye.
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 Yeah, I guess everybody really actually. We've gone on, haven't we? We've
yeah, it's getting late in here. Where are you guys from actually?
We're London based.
London based. Wow, cool. Are you joining the NFT thing on Sunday?
Yeah, I will be. Yeah.
So I think we can continue our discussions there, kind of after the thing.
Sure. For your gallery, do you want just models, or do you want images? What do you want?
We were thinking models are better, but you need to fulfill the decentralized. It's like less than 10 megabytes. It's crazy, and yeah.
I don't understand a model that's less than 10 megabytes.
It's very basic. Like, you know, their PR looks so much more juicy, and then you try to actually model something, and you realize, okay, I really have to go crazy low poly, and you know, doing all those workarounds, like unwrapping all the textures into one texture and referencing different parts of the texture for each mesh you have on the scene. Like, that's a lot of work which is unnecessary. So yeah, it's still in the diapers. Like, you know, it has to grow. But 3D models are we are thinking to switch on the parcel while the event is running. So that was the idea.
All right, cool. Well, we'll sign up to the.
And Simone, just lastly, obviously these weekly calls are great, and I'm going to kind of commit to kind of join them on a regular rhythm. What's the process of the smaller working groups, or are there smaller community calls? Are there kind of topic specific stuff where there's different style working groups where there's kind of a deeper dive on certain areas of the DAOs?
Yeah, I think this is happening on the Discord in a certain way. Like, I was the one who created the Grasshopper Help channel, and I kicked off some stuff which was kind of cool to me, and not many people reacted, so that's kind of like sleeping right now. But I think we should really, like, you guys are really close to the NFT skills and the systems and the things the ArchiDAO needs. So I think we could actually revive this whole thing and invite you guys to actually take a part in developing the skill tracking and project tracking, I guess.
Over like December and January, I did a real deep dive in how to kind of, I would create a framework of a DAO for AEC. And so much of what you've created is really great. And I did an internal presentation to our company of what that perhaps looked like. And I'd be more than happy to, revise it slightly and do it as a presentation to whoever's interested from ArchiDAO, to kind of look at where, if there's missing blanks on, as I say, either side, because there feels like so much alignment, but there's also stuff that from this kind of real world perspective that Dara has been delivering against. I feel that perhaps there's blanks on both sides, and if we can marry the two, it's perhaps a stronger force.
Then you know what? Let's plan this. Let's really let's have a review of those two things, which are like you share your vision. We prepare a nicer version of what we just kind of sprinkled today here, and let's find the blanks. I think, like, right now we've been pretty like everybody who's active in ArchiDAO right now, we've been kind of trying to rush towards the NFT launch, and it's a really testing small thing, but just trying to organize ourselves because there's not much structure right now. It's been a learning thing, so we're like all of it is actually now.
I can imagine, man. But well done for getting there. Like, well done for getting there. I can imagine.
In the next week or two, let's plan this, and let's really start building this thing, because that's something we definitely want to have on our roadmap, and it's there actually. And we just got spooked by how much it's a big project to actually track our skills in a meaningful way. But you guys have a lot of ideas about it, and you a lot of experience. So I think, like, if you're on the Discord, let's create a channel for that.
For sure, definitely. Well, I'll follow your lead on it. If you want to, I've signed up for the DAO now, so I don't know if you want to tell me your Discord name. Is it just your name, or is yours your Discord handle?
It's Prokosim. I'll type it in the.
Type it in, and what I'll do is I'll add you, and then we can. I'll follow your lead in terms of setting up the channel.
Okay. Let's do that, because I think I'm just quickly scrolling here through the channels, and we definitely had a channel for NFT Skills, and now it's fallen, like, there's a lot of channels, so we already done some sweeping, so it's now organized a little bit better. But I think let's make a new channel for this, because it makes sense. Like, there's the Dev Guild, which is for all the ArchiDAO developers. We have the GitHub, and there's, like, in the different channels things happen, and whenever somebody has something others are starting to get interested in, that's usually where the study groups are formed. It's very organic, and sure. I think it kind of makes sense, because when you need to push things, it's always it's always better to keep it like organic. Yeah, that's a better word, but yeah.
Makes sense.
So I think let's have a channel for this. I don't see the, yeah. Okay.
Oh, sorry. When you say okay, I'll find you in the channel. The Prokopsin.
Yeah, sorry, the second one with the second P.
Where are you based?
Prague, Czech Republic.
Cool.
The same as Jiří. Yeah. I think we are the only Czechs in ArchiDAO still. But I think a couple of people on the Discord are also our colleagues from the faculty, and they're somehow dormant now, but let's see if they appear on the NFT launch, and we'll take it from there, I guess.
Well, I think it's amazing what you've done so far anyway.
Agreed.
You've put ideas into action, and that's the main thing.
Okay. Well, I've seen some amazing things today, so thank you. Okay.
All right, great.
Yeah. So see you on Sunday then.
See you then.
Great. See you then. Thank you.
Okay.
Bye. 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 Bye.
Bye, guys.
Bye. Bye.